Hello. So I thought I'd do a different type of video while I'm taking a little walk. It's very cold here. So anyway, there's actually a few things going on here. Kurt's credit cards.
According to Tom Grant's case manual, this is her initial reason for contacting him. Do you have any idea who might have stolen your husband's credit card? What? Oh no, Courtney said, her eyes opening wide. Kurt's credit card wasn't stolen. I canceled it.
We were both a little surprised when you said, you canceled his credit card, so he's without money. It's just, he can't figure out how to get money if he doesn't have his credit cards.
No.
He doesn't have his own bank account?
No, we have the same bank account.
Yeah.
And, I canceled the Excel card. But maybe I shouldn't have done that, so I could have kept track of him.
And the other tickets.
We will hear Courtney talk more about these additional plane tickets in a second, but Grant says Courtney told me that she believed Kurt had purchased a flight to Atlanta so he could record with Michael Stipe of REM, a project Kurt and Stipe had developed over the previous months. And here's the thing with both of these theories, Tom Grant doesn't negate them, he supports them.
I don't know where the hell he is. I mean, he can't be in Seattle. He has 2 plane tickets. I just am curious if he bought a plane ticket for somebody else. And then I was figuring prices. Okay, he goes up to Seattle, he picks up his guitars, he flies to Atlanta, they're recording in Knoxville, so maybe there's a nonstop, and he goes from Knoxville, and then he goes back to Atlanta, and he buys maybe a round-trip ticket back to Seattle.
So let's get into it.
First of all, let's look at the credit card statement, which I also believed for a long time as well, because I just took Tom Grant's word for it. But it's pretty obvious when you actually look at the evidence by itself without any narrative attached that there were no other plane tickets.
Let's look at the first half of the credit card statement. Broke it up into colors. Blue is Callie, yellow is Courtney Love, red is the travel and expenses entertainment. That green on the second, that is the only time that Kurt has used this card to purchase that ticket on Delta Air. See the location, Concord. Some of these are over the phone. The NAs are usually over the phone. Callie in the blue in Seattle. Her in the yellow in Beverly Hills. NA, he's doing it over the phone. Then you get to the responses. Approve, decline, approve, decline. And it's a card present. Yes, no, yes, no, yes. If it's not present over the phone, as soon as it gets to after his card and it starts to read pick up CD, the card has been reported stolen. So those 2 other tickets could not have been purchased on a stolen credit card.
Right up until his purchase from Exodus to fly back to Seattle. That is the last charge where the card is still active. In the 90s in retail, that specific code, pick up, meant pick the card up, pick it up from the counter and keep it. This card has been reported stolen. CD probably stands for something like credit delinquent or credit deficient. So Tom sure talks a lot about those other plane tickets. Look at the time.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
There's like 40 minutes until the attempts were made to buy further airline tickets, but they were never purchased. You aren't able to purchase anything after the credit card has been reported stolen. So that's a red herring. And Courtney's the one that makes a big deal out of that. And Tom supports that. That you're supposed to think that there were other tickets. Maybe he had one for someone else. Maybe he was gonna go with Kristen Pfaff. Maybe he was gonna go see Michael Stipe. No, he didn't purchase any other tickets. They don't exist. It's right there on the credit card statement. You can't buy them once the card is stolen. The last thing purchased on that credit card was his ticket home. Everything after that was only an attempt. So the other plane tickets don't exist, and they never did. That was her planting that because she knew it would show up on the statement, and then she could have a story with, oh, he was gonna go somewhere else, and just make up another story to throw confusion in the mix and have it go nowhere. I don't think she is the one who canceled his credit cards. The other piece of evidence that I came across in the back of the police reports, there's all of those notes from Unsolved Mysteries from callers. So Unsolved Mysteries was a legit show back in the day, like America's Most Wanted. And if people had evidence or things they thought were pertinent, those tips were going to be forwarded to law enforcement. One of the statements is very telling. It is from a woman who worked at Visa who took that phone call from Courtney
when Kurt was in a coma in Rome. Caller states that she used to work for Visa, and when Kurt was in Rome, someone called in and reported Kurt's credit card missing. Caller states that he had been in a coma in Rome from a drug overdose. Caller states that she does not believe his wife was on the account. Caller states Courtney found out the card was lost or stolen and they were to send out a replacement. Caller states that they were to send emergency cards, one to Kurt in Seattle and the other to her in California. Caller states that she thought this was unusual. Caller states that she did not know how Courtney knew the card had been reported since he was in a coma, and also that she had not been on the account before. Wow. The question is, if she has to do all of this to get back on his credit card, had he already removed her, cut her off from his credit cards in the process of getting that divorce, and he ends up in a coma?
Why is Courtney calling, asking for 2 emergency credit cards in his name? Called when he was in a coma, one to be sent to Seattle, Cali, because he was allowed to have one of their credit cards. He was the house nanny, so he did the cooking, the shopping, taking care of Francis, and apparently he also bought drugs with a card, whatever. She ordered one emergency card to be sent to Seattle, and she ordered another emergency card in his name to be sent to Los Angeles. So she already knew in Rome that she was going to be back in Los Angeles, and she would not be going back to Seattle for very long, that's for sure.
And Tom Grant has just discussed the retainer for getting that credit card statement, and then he says Courtney was clearly in complete control of Kurt's finances. Sure, it was his money, but not in her mind. Well, not according to that woman from Visa. So let's talk about that retainer, because I have a lot of questions. He then says in his book, I then asked Courtney to sign the appropriate release form so that I could obtain all of Kurt's recent credit card activity from Seafirst Bank. I told her I would call as soon as I learned anything. Well, I don't know what he had her sign, because she later faxed him this document to Tom Grant from Courtney Cobain. I, Courtney Cobain, authorize the Grant Company, Los Angeles, California, to release any records relating to the use of, and then card numbers crossed out, Seafirst Bank card number, between April 1st, 1994, to the present to go to the Seattle Police Department. However, did you look at the date? I know you can't see it very well, so I blew it up for you. This fax is dated March 13th, 1994. What happened to Easter Sunday is when they met. They are in contact when Kurt was still alive. So, and they're both pushing this narrative that her fingers did the walking and they met on Easter Sunday. This fax is predated to begin on April 1st. She's sending him permission on March 13th when Kurt was still alive to begin and then collect the credit card statements on April 1st. So what were they really doing working together 2 weeks beforehand when Kurt was still alive? You can't fake a fax number like that. The programming, it's programmed in, so you can't fake official documents. It's programmed like your cell phone time is. Did Tom Grant do any further investigating other than what he has spoken about originally, his narrative? Did he even read those comments among other things that happened later? Because when it comes to this case, his narrative is only what happened at the very beginning.
And that is the only part of the story that he was interested in. Oh, well, you got to pick on Tom Grant. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't know anything. Well, the more you look at the evidence, the more what he has told us for so long doesn't make any sense.
So it also got me thinking, well, this is an emergency card in someone else's name. So she wouldn't have had any administrative access. She wouldn't have been able to do anything with that card as far as like canceling it. She wouldn't have been able to make executive decisions with that card. It's not a replacement card, it's an emergency card.
And how do we know that she had that card in his name? By looking at her April 7th arrest record when she, quote, got herself arrested. That was the day that she was expecting to have his body discovered, and so she would be in jail with an alibi. However, Dylan was told to check the greenhouse, and he did not do that, so she was released. Again, bogus charges. She then called the electricians and directed them to the greenhouse, meaning that twice she directed people to exactly where his body would be found, and then she checked herself into Exodus to wait to hear the news. And when you zoom in on that one page of the arrest record, look what she has in her possession. One credit card in the name of Kurt Cobain. Just to go back to the alibi theory that most of us familiar with the case know about because we've heard it from Tom Grant. Rosemary overheard Courtney telling Dylan to check the greenhouse. And then basically Dylan said that he was never told to check the greenhouse. Well, I was looking on Andrew Amaril's old website. It's still up in the archives because a lot of the old sites have the early day information, what was happening right after his death, how was she behaving. There's so much information on there. And I found one of her emails. Grant had a PI firm for a few months. He got real lucky. I couldn't find any lawyers, so hell, I used the yellow pages. He is a failed businessman, also slow and inept. The people he consigned in Seattle were slow. I asked if anyone had been by. He said no. Also lazy. I kept her misspellings in here so you can tell it's her. Dylan says he barely loked at the house. Also, he never went up to the garage or greenhouse, which I specifically asked as it was a hiding place for Kay. So she's saying she asked Grant to do it.
So I was thinking, how would he even have access? It appears to me with all of these other charges, these are expenses from the lawyer. There was that first Macintosh, the tower, exactly the same price. And then there's that article, I think, in Rolling Stone where she's unboxing that tower right after. So people have narrowed down Brookstone, I think it is, or whatever it is similar to Brookstone, where you can order really high-end luxury goods from an airplane. So that seems like something more that she would do than he would. Like, he didn't even have an extra pair of shoes. He wasn't materialistic. He didn't give a crap about stuff like that. So that's her.
The first charge, $4,262, Whole Earth catalog. Approved, card present, no. That's the first Mac Tower. Second one, arts and entertainment lawyers. No location because it's over the phone. New credit card declined and then approved. Card not present over the phone.
And the one that confuses me, look at when the card is present or not present, yes or no. That first Barney's charge is kind of for an odd number, and the card wasn't present. Well, she's at the Beverly Hills Peninsula, which is right by Barney's, and for people who don't know, that's a store like Saks Fifth Avenue in Los Angeles. Also not a place that he would be shopping. So what it looks like to me is she put a partial payment down without the credit card. They were not going to allow her to pay for the entire item without the card being present. So it looks like she put half down from the, and then she was told to bring the card to the store, and then she could pick up the rest of her merchandise.
This one is at Barney's, $799.97. It's a really odd number. In Beverly Hills, it's approved, but the card is not present. Look what's happening with Callie trying to get some cash advances out in Seattle. Decline. The card is present though. What's going on? And then she's arriving at Barney's. She's in Beverly Hills, and the Peninsula is right by Tom Grant's old office and Exodus, by the way. Picking up the rest of the items, tries over and over. Decline. The card is present. I find it hard to believe that they would keep trying that if she canceled the card. That's when they found out. And then Kurt has found out he has a card. That's why he buys his ticket. The card is not present, but it is approved.
That is obviously when she found out that she no longer had access to the card. Kurt's not going to be shopping at Barney's. But can't you just see her? She goes, she's determined to pick up the rest of her merchandise. The card is active because the charge went through for the first half. Bring the card down. She does, and it's declined. 6 freaking times. So you know that's her going, what the heck is going on? That's when she's alerted that he's found out about that emergency card, and he has cut her off, and he has cut Callie's off. He's tired of them leeching off of his neck, spending all his money, and he's going to divorce her. So that's when she found out, and that's when, I'm sure, we don't have photo records of those phone calls that Tom Grant claims to have, but I'm sure that's when she gets on the phone to Callie. He's cut off our money, and he probably found out the same way. He's cut off our money. You better freaking handle this. He's on his way home. She really wouldn't have had the power to cancel that kind of card, but she is famous, and she's very persuasive, as evidenced by all the crap she seemingly gets away with, because she has like 500 million different personalities that she can switch off and on at will. She's probably able to convince them somehow that it was stolen, and that she maybe was able to convince, someone who didn't know, or to find out what the last charge on it was, and she sees that he bought that plane ticket, and that's what she knows. It is going down. He has cut her off from his money, and that was a big deal to her. Because I was thinking about this, how would he have found out about that card? Well, where would they be able to reach him? At Exodus. So that might be why he left. Didn't really want to be there anyway. That bullcrap intervention is supposed to be family and friends and people that really care about you, not these losers who are just a bunch of vampires who only care about what he can provide. And he's like the sole provider for this enormous ship. They don't care. They want to make him continue doing what he's doing when he's making it obvious that he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to continue with the band. He doesn't want to play Lollapalooza. He doesn't want to continue being with her. They had been separated for a month at that point. He's on tour. She didn't even show up. The first time she does, he's in a coma that night. Anyway, that's getting ahead of myself. So maybe they reached him at Exodus and he's like, what the hell, what card? And I think he did something where he was able to shut it off, but use it if he called in and gave pertinent information, like a code or some of his social or mother's maiden name or something. And he's like, anyone else who I don't have a card, so anyone that has a card, cut that card off. So that way neither Callie or anyone else or Courtney could use it, but he could call in. So he was able to call. I bet that is one of the driving factors that caused him to leave. This is just a theory. He finds out about that card and he's like, I have a way to just book a flight and get on out of here. And that's what he did. And then she found out that he knew about the card when she tried to use it 6 times, declined. But you see that ticket that he made the purchase, there's no card present. And then she figured out how to report it stolen. So this has been my theory for quite some time, and I'm telling all kind of people about it. But I just wanted to make a quick little video and put the evidence there as well to show you that I believe that the one charge that I've highlighted in green, that's the only charge he made on that card, and that she reported it stolen. But that was his ability to purchase a ticket. And the second tickets, like I said, that's just a smokescreen. How can you buy other tickets when your card's already been reported stolen? They don't exist, and they never did. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Until next time.